Welcome to the deep dive. It is great to have you with us today. I want you to close your eyes for a second. Well, maybe not if you're driving, but just picture your childhood backyard.
Right. Safety first.
Exactly. But for a lot of us, that word backyard brings up memories of a patch of grass, maybe a rusty swing set or a wooden fence.
A neighbor's house just a stone's throw away.
Yeah, a contained little world where the biggest danger was maybe a stray baseball breaking a window or, scraping your knee on the driveway.
Very suburban.
Right. But today, we are taking you on a journey back to the late 1990s to a place where the concept of a backyard meant something entirely different.
Completely different.
A place where the boundaries weren't white picket fences, but the sprawling, untamed edges of nature itself.
The contrast between that standard suburban image and what we are exploring today is immense.
It really is.
We are pulling insights from an excerpt of a really great podcast called Mischief and Memories, Stories from the Rift Valley. The hosts there, Jeniffer and Tony, spend some time unpacking a brand new Amazon Kindle ebook.
Written by Tony himself, right?
Yes, exactly. His full name is Anthony Miracho, and the book is titled The Legendary Stunts of an African Boy.
Just listening to that title, you immediately know you aren't getting your standard coming-of-age story.
Not at all.
Our mission today is to explore a theme that I think everyone listening can relate to, the universal nature of childhood mischief.
Which every kid gets into.
Right, but we are looking at that relatable mischief set against the backdrop of a wild, high-definition African adventure. We are talking about a totally different scale of consequence and environment. Okay, let's unpack this.
To really grasp the gravity of these stories, we have to start with the environment Anthony was operating in.
Set the scene for us.
His childhood home was situated in the Kenyan Rift Valley in the late 90s, and this was far from a manicured subdivision.
No pristine lawns there.
Far from it. He paints this incredible picture of a 5-acre kingdom. It wasn't just a yard. It was a functioning piece of the wilderness.
He mentions the trees, too.
Yeah, he talks about trees that thought they were skyscrapers, just towering over the property, casting these massive shadows.
It creates such a vivid image.
It does. It creates an image of a child essentially living in a vast, unexplored territory, constantly at the mercy of the natural world around him.
But do you think a 10-year-old child actually perceives that danger? I mean, when you have 5 acres of playground, it seems like the scale of the environment might just fade into the background of whatever game you're playing.
They absolutely perceive it, but they normalize it.
How so?
Well, in a typical suburb, your neighbors might be the people you borrow sugar from.
Yeah, or complain about their loud music.
Exactly. But in the Rift Valley, on a 5-acre property, Anthony's local neighbors included hyenas, leopards, baboons, and even the occasional elephant.
That is just wild.
These aren't animals you just shoo away from a vegetable garden with a broom. They are apex predators.
Right.
When you grow up with that reality, your baseline for what constitutes a threat shifts dramatically.
That shift in baseline is incredible to think about. Because the family had livestock on this property, those animals essentially looked like a free buffet to those wild neighbors.
A literal all-you-can-eat buffet.
Exactly. And you can't just put up a chain link fence and assume the livestock is safe when a leopard is actively hunting nearby.
No, a fence won't do much against a determined predator.
So the family had to engineer a defense system. They didn't have regular cuddly household pets. They employed what Anthony calls a security detail.
What's fascinating here is the composition of that security detail. This was a special forces unit made up of 5 cross-bred German shepherds.
5 of them?
Yes, and the dual nature of these dogs is crucial to understanding the power dynamics on that property.
They weren't just standard pets.
Right. On one hand, to the family, they were completely harmless, loyal companions. But their primary occupational hazard, their entire reason for being there, was to look and act like absolute terrors.
Their job was intimidation.
Precisely. They were specifically kept to make a hyena, which is a highly aggressive, dangerous predator, reconsider its life choices before stepping onto that 5-acre kingdom.
So you have a pack of dogs whose literal job is to intimidate apex predators.
Yeah.
That perfectly sets the stage for the main event we are analyzing today.
A main event.
Yeah, Anthony details a specific chapter in his book titled Stunt Number 1, The Canine Welcome Committee.
Or How I Nearly Gave Auntie a Heart Attack.
Exactly. Just the title alone.
It gives you just enough information to know that a spectacularly bad decision is about to be made.
Let's look at the geography of this setup. From the front door of the family house to the main gate is about a 100-meter sprint.
That is a solid distance.
A full football field of open space.
Mm.
It is a brilliantly sunny afternoon. The stage is set. But the thing that kicks off this whole chain of events is something so profoundly ordinary.
The ultimate catalyst for this stunt is the universal arch-nemesis of every child in existence, boredom. You have a 10-year-old boy, a beautiful afternoon, a massive property, and absolutely nothing to occupy his mind.
A dangerous combination.
It is a vacuum, just waiting to be filled by spontaneous, ill-advised creativity. And right at the peak of this boredom, a target presents herself.
Auntie Beatrice.
A woman we will call Auntie Beatrice is seen walking down the long path toward their main gate.
Let's pause on Auntie Beatrice for a second. She is dressed in her absolute finest clothes, coming for a nice, polite afternoon visit.
Looking her best.
Any normal adult sees a guest arriving and thinks about putting on the kettle or going to open the gate.
Or at least saying hello.
Right. But a bored 10-year-old boy sees a comedic masterpiece waiting to happen. Anthony admits his thought process was entirely flawed by his own juvenile logic.
As 10-year-old logic usually is.
He thought it would be highly entertaining to watch Auntie Beatrice try to outrun his family's Special Forces dog unit.
We have to ask ourselves if there was any actual malice here, or just pure, unfiltered 10-year-old ignorance.
Just a total disconnect.
It is that classic disconnect between childhood impulse and adult reality. A 10-year-old has very little actual power in the world. They are told when to eat, when to sleep, and what to do.
Very true.
But in this specific moment, Anthony holds the keys to a tremendous amount of localized power. He doesn't see the physical danger or the deep cultural disrespect. He just sees an opportunity to pull a lever and shatter the afternoon's monotony.
Here's where it gets really interesting. The execution of the prank. He doesn't just do this immediately.
No, he waits.
He waits. He lets Auntie Beatrice reach the halfway point. She's 50 meters in.
Fully committed.
Fully committed to the journey up the driveway. Then Anthony takes a deep breath and unleashes what he calls the African summoning whistle.
It is a very specific auditory trigger. He paints the sound as a high-pitched, piercing noise that could wake the dead.
Not your average dog whistle.
No, it isn't just a casual call for a pet. It is the tactical signal the dogs know means immediate action is required.
The moment that whistle hits the air, the atmosphere of the entire property shifts. Instant chaos.
They know it's go time.
5 furry heads shoot up from wherever they were resting. Anthony describes the dogs slipping through the gaps in the gate like liquid excitement.
Liquid excitement, I love that phrase.
They instantly become this terrifying blur of barking muscle bearing down on this poor woman.
Put yourself in Auntie Beatrice's shoes for a moment. You are walking up to a friend's house in your Sunday best, expecting a warm greeting and maybe a cup of tea.
Sounds lovely.
Suddenly, a pack of dogs, biologically designed and trained to fight off leopards, is sprinting directly at you.
Absolute nightmare.
Her reaction is purely primal. As Anthony notes, her conscious brain simply loses the fight with her survival instincts.
Fight or flight takes over entirely.
She freezes for a fraction of a second, spins around, lets out a scream that could probably be heard in the next village, and the race is on.
The visual of this chase is just incredible. It's this glorious panic spectacle of her trying to flee back down that 100-meter driveway.
In her Sunday best.
Throwing panicked glances over her shoulder, her good shoes are kicking up massive clouds of red African dust, and then she starts shedding weight.
Just ditching cargo.
She throws her handbag behind her. She throws her handkerchief behind her. Anthony compares it to playing Mario Kart and dropping banana peels to slow down the people behind you.
The Mario Kart analogy is brilliant because it perfectly captures how a child processes the event as a game.
Like it's just a funny obstacle course.
Exactly. But looking at it from Auntie Beatrice's perspective, it highlights the sheer, unadulterated panic of the moment. She is literally tossing anything she can detach from her body to distract this pack of apex guard dogs.
Hoping they go for the purse.
Hoping they'll attack her purse instead of her ankles.
But then we reach the climax of the story, the twist that makes this entire sequence so fascinating. The dogs are closing in on her. Does she make it to the gate?
The twist is that the entire sequence, from the summoning whistle to the end of the chase, lasts maybe 10 seconds.
It's so fast.
The dogs are moving with the effortless, terrifying speed of professional athletes. They completely close the 50-meter gap.
And then...
But when they reach Auntie Beatrice, they do something entirely unexpected. They completely ignore her.
You don't even care.
They zip right past her, leaving her in their dust, and run straight up to Anthony. They sit around him, tails wagging, looking up at him as if to say, "We came. What's the mission, boss?"
It is the ultimate anticlimax for her survival instincts. but the absolute perfect outcome for a 10-year-old prankster.
Everything went according to his plan.
The dogs didn't care about her at all. She was just an obstacle on the way to their commander. And the contrast between the intense chaos of the chase and the immediate aftermath is striking.
Very striking.
The silence that followed is described as deafening. The dogs are just peacefully panting, waiting for orders. And there's Auntie Beatrice.
She has just experienced a profound adrenaline dump. She is covered head to toe in fine red dust.
Nice clothes are ruined.
Ruined. Her chest is heaving. She completely abandons her fine clothes and whatever dignity she arrived with, and she just sits down right there in the dirt.
Just totally defeated.
She puts one hand on her chest and focuses entirely on trying to remember how to breathe. Meanwhile, she is looking over at Anthony, who is standing by the house grinning like a little demon child.
As cinematic and funny as that visual is, the real danger of the afternoon was only just beginning.
Oh, definitely.
Anthony survived the dogs, and Auntie Beatrice survived the dogs, but Anthony now had to face a much more terrifying predator.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this is where the cultural nuances really shine through the narrative.
Yeah, the cultural aspect is huge here.
In rural Kenya in the 90s, and frankly, in many traditional cultures around the world, you do not humiliate an elder.
Never.
You do not disrespect an auntie without facing severe immediate consequences. The true terror on that property wasn't the wild animals outside the 5-acre kingdom, and it certainly wasn't the pack of German shepherds.
It was Mom.
The true terror was, as Anthony puts it, the mother.
The fear of a mother's wrath after you've embarrassed an auntie or a family friend is such a universal cultural touchstone.
Everyone knows that feeling.
I think anyone listening can recall a specific moment in their childhood where they cross a line, the initial adrenaline of the prank faded, and a cold dread washed over them as they realized, like,
Mom is going to find out.
Exactly. Oh no, my mom is going to find out about this. Anthony describes his mother's discipline as a mob beating disguised as a lesson.
That is quite the description.
He leaves the actual physical details to the imagination, noting that they are between him, his mother, and the ghost present, but you know the punishment was legendary.
Using humor to describe the absolute authority of a parent in that setting is very effective.
It really paints a picture.
It reminds us that the rules of survival in the Rift Valley weren't merely physical. It wasn't just about avoiding leopards and hyenas. It was about navigating the strict social and familial hierarchies that kept the community functioning.
Social survival.
Respect for elders was a survival mechanism in its own right.
What's amazing is that this massive dramatic event is just the very first stunt in the book.
Just the beginning.
Jeniffer and Tony tease the rest of the chapters during their podcast, and the titles alone are worth analyzing because they show a childhood deeply intertwined with physical risk.
Let's hear them.
Let's look at stunt number 2, which is titled The Rolling Rift Valley Rumble. Anthony says he basically becomes a one-boy avalanche.
Just the phrasing one-boy avalanche implies a level of physical interaction with the landscape that we rarely see today.
You don't see that in a suburb.
No, it suggests a scenario where the terrain itself is the toy. When your playground is the side of the Great Rift Valley, your games involve gravity, dirt, and likely a high probability of scraping off a layer of skin.
Definitely losing some skin.
It shows a physical ingenuity required of children before the digital age provided safer virtual avalanches.
Then there's stunt number 3, The Bee Whisperer's Guide to Catastrophe. This is briefly described as an ill-advised attempt at beekeeping. Knowing how the dog incident went, I think we can safely assume the bees had the upper hand in that encounter.
Safe assumption.
But again, look at the ambition. A kid deciding to just figure out beekeeping on a whim.
It speaks to a profound lack of supervision, but in a way that fosters bold experimentation.
Learning the hard way?
Interacting directly with dangerous insects because you are curious is a hallmark of an unstructured childhood. The natural world is providing the lessons, usually through pain, rather than a textbook or a documentary.
We also have stunt number 4, The Great Orange Heist. Now, a heist sounds like a classic childhood caper, sneaking around and stealing fruit.
Pretty standard stuff.
But in an environment guarded by apex predators and special forces dogs, a simple orange heist probably felt like a military operation.
The stakes elevate the mundane. Stealing an orange from a neighbor in a typical suburb might result in a stern talking to.
Maybe a timeout.
Stealing an orange in an environment where you might stumble across a baboon troop turns a simple theft into a genuine test of stealth and survival.
Finally, we have stunt number 5, titled The Day Karma Wore Fur and Fangs. Anthony notes that in this chapter, he finally gets a taste of his own medicine.
Yeah, karma.
What goes around comes around. It sounds like the natural world finally decided to balance the scales for Auntie Beatrice.
These titles collectively outline a childhood that is constantly physically colliding with the environment.
Literally colliding.
It is not about interacting with an algorithm or playing a perfectly balanced video game. It is about tangible interaction with the earth, the agriculture, the insects, and the predators of the Rift Valley. Every day is an unscripted negotiation with nature.
So what does this all mean? Why are we drawn to stories like this today? I think it is because this narrative represents a heartwarming, hilarious look at dodging both parents and wildlife in an environment that most of us can hardly fathom.
It's hard to even picture for most people.
It is a full-blown, high-definition adventure every single day. The stakes are just fundamentally higher. You aren't just dodging a timeout in your bedroom. You are dodging an escarpment avalanche, a swarm of angry bees, or a baboon who wants your lunch.
Or a leopard.
Exactly. If you want to dive into that nostalgia and extract those lessons for yourself, you can grab a copy of The Legendary Stunts of an African Boy by Anthony Miracho on Amazon Kindle right now.
To synthesize what we've unpacked today, what stands out most is how effectively Anthony Miracho blends two completely different elements of the human experience.
Which are?
On one side, you have the mundane, universal reality of childhood boredom. Every kid everywhere in the world gets bored.
Every single one.
Every kid does something foolish to cure that boredom. But he overlays that universal feeling with the extraordinary high-stakes reality of growing up surrounded by the untamed African landscape.
It's such a unique blend.
It elevates a simple, relatable childhood prank into an epic tale of survival, animal instincts, and natural chaos.
I want to turn this over to you, listening right now. Take a moment to reflect on your own childhood memories. Think about your personal backyard, whether that was a city street, a suburban cul-de-sac, or a farm.
Whatever your environment was.
How did the physical boundaries of where you grew up shape your understanding of adventure? What was your version of the African summoning whistle or the Mario Kart banana peels? We all have those defining moments that shaped our understanding of risks, boundaries, and consequences, even if they didn't involve German shepherds and leopards.
This raises an important question, one that builds right off the themes of these stories. In Anthony's childhood, boredom was the ultimate catalyst for creativity, even if that creativity led to near disasters.
Usually near disaster.
He's forced to interact with a wild, unstructured environment. But what happens to childhood in our modern, hyper-curated, screen-heavy world?
That's a great point.
When we remove the wild and we engineer out the unstructured boredom from a child's environment to keep them perfectly safe, are we also fencing out the very chaos that builds resilience and creates the legendary stories of tomorrow?
Wow. That is an incredible thought to chew on. Are we protecting ourselves right out of our own legendary stories? Thank you so much for exploring this wild, nostalgic journey with us today. It's been an absolute blast unpacking the Rift Valley with you. Keep reflecting on those childhood adventures, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.